the big idea for chapter 1.1, where did the data come from, is understanding the different methods for collecting data for research. There's different ways to collect data when you're looking at research. The first step when you're collecting data is to decide which data to measure. What are you going to measure to figure out the answer to the question you're trying to answer? Okay, what's the best way to do it? So the first thing we're going to look at are individuals, and these definitions are on the bottom of page 5, okay, and I just wrote them down here. You're going to look at individuals, which are the objects described by a set of data, people, animals, things, basically the nouns, people, places, and things, okay? And for those individuals, you're going to measure certain variables, okay? Any characteristic of an individual, a variable can take different values for different individuals, all right? You can think of individuals as actual people. If everyone in our class were individuals and we wanted to look at some variables, we could look at eye color, hair color, height, weight, any one of those things that describes the people in the class, okay? And it sounds kind of easy now, but when you get into some different ways of looking at it, it does get a little bit tougher. So those are two things you need to know. So you might want to pause this, go over this a little bit, make sure you have this written down. And when you come back, we're going to talk about if we are looking at hair color, if we are looking at eye color, or anything that's not a number, how do we measure that, right? Statistics are numbers, so what about non-numerical variables? For example, here, I wrote down, if I wanted to do research around the number of tickets that different color cars get, right? Somebody used to say, you're more likely to get a ticket if you drive a red car. And I used to have a red car, so I would like to know if that was true. So the first thing you can do, number one, is look at counts. Okay. If you are counting the number of red cars, black cars, silver cars, and white cars, which color gets the most tickets? Okay. So you would actually have 5 red cars. So your numerical value would be 5 instead of the categorical value of red. So you could actually answer a question about it. The second way you could do it is to look at percents. So instead of just counting the number of cars that get tickets, you can count the entire number of tickets that are given and then find the percent of red cars, the percent of black cars, the percent of silver cars, and the percent of white cars that get tickets. And if you have a percent, you could make maybe a pie chart with it to explain what's happening. Okay, so big ideas we just talked about. Pause, make sure you have these notes written down, go back, just rewind a little bit and you can pause it and make sure you have this written down. You guys know how to use this stuff. But the big ideas you want you to get is when you're collecting data, you're collecting data on individuals and variables that describe those individuals. If you do not have numerical data, you can use counts and percentages. Those are all things that you really need to understand in section 1.1. Right now, what I want to do is go through some of the exercises at the end of 1.1, starting on page 7. Okay, so exercise 1.1 right here, making the grade. Here are a few lines from a statistics teacher's grade book, not my grade book, obviously. So we have name, sex, homeroom, grade, calculator number, and test number 1. It looks like they're scores for test number 1. Question A says, what individuals does this data describe? Which of these column headers are the individuals that we're trying to describe? I'm giving you guys wait time so you can figure it out. You've probably already done it. The individuals are the actual students, okay? The individuals are the students here, and they are people, so individuals makes a lot of sense in this case. Question B says, for each individual, what variables are given? Okay, if the student is the individual, the variables are sex, homeroom, grade, calculator number, and the score for test number 1. The second part for question B says, which of the following variables take numerical values? Also easy, we can look. What are the variables that have numbers? Well, it's grade and the score for test number 1. Okay, calculator number has numbers in it, but it also has that B right there, so I would not count that as numerical value. You cannot do math with a number that has a B in it. That's not technically true in some cases, but for our sake right here, that's what we're going to go with. Let's go over and double check me. Go to the back of the book, check 1.1, and see if what I'm saying is correct. See if what you thought was correct. I really want you guys to learn how to use textbooks, especially since you're going to be in college very soon, and you need to know how to study for those types of things. 1.2, go Bucks. It says, in Super Bowl 37, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Oakland Raiders. Here's a portion of Tampa Bay's team roster. I didn't know that the Raiders had ever been in the Super Bowl. Are they even a good team? I'm just kidding. Okay, so here is a section of their roster. They have their team number, name, position, height, weight, birth date, experience, and college. All right. What individuals does this data set describe? Again, I'll let you guys answer that, but it should, I'll give you guys just a second to answer that. Obviously, the actual athlete under name, Brad Johnson, Warren Sapp, Martin Gramatica, and Tom Tupa. How many variables does the data set contain? It contains all of the rest. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? And question C, what do you think are the units for each of the numerical values? Okay, so, oh, and actually birth date would be numerical also. What are the values? Height, I think is centimeters. I don't know anybody that is 77 feet tall. Weight, pounds, birth date, years, experience, years. Okay, that's what it's looking for right there.